everything came together in that moment. It's like everything that I've learned over all this time funneled into this one point in time that was just perfect. And so gratifying to be able to do this for all these years and never really pull a big win and just have all the stars align for this moment so I could take this one. And I got to say, kudos to the Japanese fans. Culture's different over there. They really respect muscle. They really respect big guys, and they respect all the dedication and hard work that goes into it. I did more carbs on this diet than any diet I've ever done in the past, period. I was going about 600 grams of carbs a day, every day. Dave told me before he passed, he said, if anything ever happens to him, I want you working with Ariel Coops. I pulled out a decent product coaching myself, but at the same time, me and Ariel, we did one show together. We're 1-1. So we just won an Olympia together.
Fans don't necessarily always realize just how much effort goes into doing a prep and competing and making a mistake. Over time, if you keep doing it, you learn your body and you know how to nail the look, but it's not an overnight thing.
At the end of the day, I'm the guy who brought it home. I stepped up and I took that show. I came in with confidence, poise, aggression, and there was nobody who was going to beat me in that night show. I went in there and I took it. So the last impression on the audience and the judges is me at my best.
Muscle and Strength, what's up? Dan here with a good friend of mine, Dorian Haywood, coming off a pretty epic win here. Dorian, man, what's up, Mr. Masters Olympia?
Yeah, it's kind of a whirlwind these past few days. You know, just about a week ago, I won the biggest title I've ever won in bodybuilding. It's really been the highlight of my career. I'm getting a lot of people congratulating me and getting a lot of respect, and a lot of people who have seen the work I put in over all these years, and they're showing me love and support. And it's a real nice time for me.
Definitely, man. No, I think that I think you're definitely right. You put in the time. You've definitely this is a sport that we don't necessarily follow the unsuccessful shows as much. The fans really gravitate towards the wins, but man, it's such a journey with bodybuilding. I remember when we first filmed in Denver, just like your hunger and desire to compete, your love for bodybuilding. And yeah, I mean, you've gone through it, man. You put in the time. Kind of starting out, let's talk about like 2024 for you. We did film a full day of eating. That was during your prep, and a lot was going on in your life, you know, personally. Can you kind of go into some of the things that you had going on in 2024 that may have shifted things for now?
Yeah, that was a very interesting season with a lot of stressors, a lot of ups and a lot of downs. First of all, my coach, Dave Calick, he was a coach of mine for over 8 years. Not only was he a coach, he became my best friend. So probably about a year and a half ago, he committed suicide and took his life. And there's a few reasons why I could see he did that, but that was a big hit to me. You know, Dave and I, we were together for almost 8 years. We've done over 30 shows together. I think we did 32 shows together, or 34. And he was at every single one of them except 2. One of them was my very first show that we did together. And the one in Spain was overseas. He had some business opportunities that he needed to take care of. So the loss of him was huge. So I tried to take the season on and coach it myself. And I think I did a decent job at it, but the first 2 shows I was going to get ready for was the New York Pro and the California Pro. And I thought I did really good in my prep, but about 2 weeks out, I thought, I really need to push the gas pedal when I probably didn't. And it just got me to a point where I was really depleted, and it got me sick. So I ended up competing in the New York Pro and the California Pro, like significantly sick, which I think reflected in my placings, which were not good. But I didn't want to end on that note. So later in the season, I came back and I did another series of shows. So I ended up doing the Texas Pro and the Tampa Pro, and I did a little bit better there. And I thought I was going to hang it up. Then I saw after the Texas Pro was over, the qualification criteria for the Masters Olympia, and this is a show that I've had my eyes on for years. I actually wanted to do the last one, but my coach Dave, he didn't want me to do it because he was afraid it would make me irrelevant in the open class. But right before that Masters show, well, anyways, the Masters show that was promoted by a friend of mine down in Ormond Beach, Mike Metasas. And he's been a friend of mine for almost 20 years. And I saw him at the Tampa Pro. And as soon as I saw the qualification criteria for the Olympia, as soon as I saw that he was having a show, I'm like, all right, I'll do my fifth show so I can qualify for the Masters O. That ended up being my first pro win, winning that Masters show. But I would say 3 weeks before that show, I was heading out to do a personal training seminar out in Breckenridge. So I was crossing the Continental Divide. As soon as I got to the other side of Eisenhower Tunnel, it was sleeting. Now, mind you, when I left here in Denver, it was 94 degrees and sunny. I got to the other side of the Eisenhower Tunnel, and it was sleeting. And I thought, it's not cold enough for anything to stick to the roads. I was wrong. I lost my ass end out of my Corvette coming down the mountain and totaled my Corvette. Luckily, I walked away with almost no injuries. I hit hard, but I'm just lucky and I'm blessed. I don't know if Dave was there with me, but I'm glad that nobody else was with me in the car, so nobody else got injured. I didn't hit anybody else. It was all my fault. I was going a little too fast. And, a few unfortunate events happened, but it led to what ended up being a successful season. But that's pretty much how 24 shaped up for me.
Yeah, that was that's a lot. That's a lot of impact. I think like one of the things with bodybuilding too, it's like while it's how you physically look, your personal life and those things impact your physical appearance and as well. And when
Absolutely.
you have those things impact you, it takes a toll. It's even like when I work with guys who just like I'll meet with them and they're like 100% bodybuilding and they have no balance. That takes a toll, just like emotional changes. So I think finding that synergy is really important. And one thing I was curious when you mentioned you self-coached, how was that shift for you? Because I can't imagine it's easy to look at yourself and be the judge. I mean, I know you're a professional. I know you coach other people, but isn't that kind of a mental game towards the end?
Very much so. Um, I coached myself for a long time before I met Dave. So, I've got experience with it and I've got a good eye and I know how towards the end your mind can play games with you. I had other people kind of looking over me um, just as a second set of eyes. So that was very helpful. So it wasn't 100% on me. And, I thought I did a pretty good job coaching myself last year. But then again, there's times, like I said, before the New York Pro, for about 2 weeks, I pushed myself way harder than I need to try to get the next level conditioning. And it actually took away from my physique opposed to making it better. So little things like that, that's where it really comes in handy, having a coach. Now, Dave told me before he passed, he said, if anything ever happens to him, I want you working with Ariel Coops. He told Ariel before he passed, if anything ever happens to him, he wants Ariel working with me. So we teamed up after that season. I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, do you think you can help me get ready for the O? So I think just for the fact that I recognized that I needed some more help than just me, it kind of goes to show you how effective I was at coaching myself. I pulled out a decent product coaching myself, but at the same time, me and Ariel, we did one show together. We're 1-1, so we just won an Olympia together. And I think we're going to work together until I retire.
Very nice. Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty amazing that Dave had that backup plan for you, though. I don't think I hear that very often at all. It just shows
It's
how
very
much
unique.
your relationship was clearly very special. And I think I didn't know that. That's amazing. So first off, like the word masters is interesting because you're not like it's what do you think masters really means in bodybuilding compared to other sports?
That's kind of interesting. You're right. I've been thinking about this over and over, and the way it's perceived from person to person. Masters makes it sound like it's more prestigious than just Mr. Olympia. But what it means in professional bodybuilding is that you're just over 40 years old. So it was kind of interesting. Some of the guys that I met competing there, some of the guys, well, me personally, I've been competing 28 years. I've done almost 75 shows. But I've met guys who just started competing and they're over 40 years old. They did a couple shows, got their pro card, they won their pro qualifier, and they're in the show. So, it's kind of interesting to see who showed up for this. There are guys who are true masters like myself who have been doing this forever and have all kinds of experience. But at the same time, there's some guys that are more novice. They're over 40, so they're masters.
Right. It's interesting too because I know like they say like once men hit 35, they start to like things change hormonally, the body starts getting tired. But I mean, we've seen it through the years. Some guys seem to thrive for many years after like 40 in their competitive career. I mean, Ronnie's an example.
Perfect.
So
Exactly
I mean,
what I was thinking.
yeah, I mean, I just like, I feel like there's a level of muscle maturity that you've reached now with those years of competing to where it seems like every prep you do, you get a denser, harder look, and then you stay leaner in the off season just based on the fact that your body's just holding on to that tissue and it's not new tissue. And I think that just gives a grainier look every year, at least in my opinion. So seeing like, to me, I think what it's doing is it's bringing awareness to another category of open bodybuilding that a lot of guys can compete in, because at times that top 5 in the Olympia, that's kind of a boxed in, like these are the top people. And that shouldn't discourage people from competing in other shows. And I think we're seeing now open bodybuilding is exciting right now.
Yeah.
I mean, as a fan, like it seems like my level of interest in open bodybuilding has elevated over the last couple years. The prize money's higher, the competition's stacked, and then now we're seeing divisions like this open up. So I think like each year these Masters shows are going to just grow and bring in even more and more people. So I think you're kind of like a pioneer in a sense of taking a chance and trying them out, because now people are going to jump in. So kudos to you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. So 2025. So let's talk about so you had a new coach. What changed with your dieting in regards to like comparing that to what you were doing with yourself and with Dave?
One thing that me and Dave did, uh, about every week, even on prep, we'd have like a high calorie day where I'd go and get some sushi. I wouldn't eat anything really dirty, but I'd bring my calories like up significantly. Um, and I think that might have held me back a little bit. It seemed like every week, I come hit that calorie high, like on Sunday, Monday, and work my way down into depletion. And that's when I'm starting to get to the place where my body composition is getting leaner and leaner and leaner. With Ariel, there was really no refeed days at all. It's almost every day is the same. But one thing with Ariel is I feel like I had more food, specifically more carbs. I did more carbs on this diet than any diet I've ever done in the past, period. I was going about 600 grams of carbs a day, every day.
Wow.
Every now and then we bring it down a little bit. Every now and then we bring it up a little bit. But for the most part, the diet just kind of stayed the same. We maybe changed the diet 3 times over the course of 16 weeks. It was just bringing those carbs down a little bit, almost to the point where it's not very significant at all. Bringing it down maybe 60 grams of carbs. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
less than 600.
Right. So those variables, I mean, that means your weight, like you didn't really have refeed weight fluctuations either. You're probably staying pretty static.
Yeah, pretty much. Every morning is about the same weight. Every evening is about the same weight. And just every day I could feel I was just making progress. Every week I was making progress. So I could tell what I was doing was working. I just shut my mouth and followed the plan.
Yeah, it's interesting too you say that, because like I remember like I've worked with a variety of athletes who do the carb cycling, and the refeeds are big. And then there'll be a one refeed where the push on the fats comes in, where it's high carb and then higher fats, and the fats almost sometimes are what causes the biggest fluctuation. Yeah, it's more calorically dense, but it's almost like the body, especially on bodybuilding diets being typically fairly low fat, it's almost like the fat has a adverse side effect, and it's like the guys just blow up sometimes. So that's interesting that you did the carbs, because I remember our full day of eating last year. Your food was pretty low. I mean, you were eating like very little food. Do you think that sometimes under eating has like very negative effects in a long term for someone even at your size?
Yeah. I always say a change makes a change. So I was welcome and open to Ariel's suggestions because I've been doing the same thing. I know if you take carbs out of my diet, if you give me a low carb diet plan, I get lean quick. I know this. Um, that being said, uh, I think if I continue to do what I was doing, that could potentially create some metabolic damage just for the fact that I'm eating so low. And, if I'm doing the same thing over and over, and I've done it for almost 20 years, it's like, I don't know if something else is going to work for me. So we tried something else and it seemed to work just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a time game, man. It's such a trial and error. I think one of the biggest things I find fascinating with bodybuilding in general is like, fans don't necessarily always realize just how much effort goes into doing a prep and competing and making a mistake. But like, it's so much work to learn that didn't work for me, or that doesn't work for my body. But over time, if you keep doing it, you learn your body and you know how to nail the look, but it's not an overnight thing. What about your training? I mean, I know when we film with you, like you moved heavy weight, you crushing it on the squats. Like, what's your training been like this year? Anything different?
Well, I think with the additional carbs, it's allowed me to train a little bit more intensely through my diet phase into the show. But that being said, it's like, I realize I'm doing the Masters O. I realize I've been doing this bodybuilding thing for 28 years. So my potential to actually gain any muscle, and at the time when I'm in a caloric deficit, isn't significant. But, I've been training hard for a long time, decades. So it's like, I'm not going to get that much better in terms of making myself more bigger and creating size and shape on my structure. But then again, it's like I've got 28 years worth of that in the bank. So I feel like I could kind of like back off the intensity a little bit and not push myself quite as hard, just knowing that I put in the work over the years. It's not something that I'm rushing to do and rushing to get right in a matter of weeks. It's all right already. Just get the body fat off and put it on stage. No need to kill myself to try to do it. I got to say, this prep was probably the easiest prep, both physically and mentally. The training, it was intense, but at the same time, I wasn't killing myself. The cardio, probably the least cardio I've done in any prep over the past 10 years. And the diet, I was eating a lot of carbs, so I didn't feel terrible. I'd have times in my day where I'd hit that low. Like I go in, I train, I do my posing, and then by the end of the posing, I'm running out of fuel. Then I do my cardio right after that, and that's when I'm hitting my low. And then right after that, I eat, so it wasn't so bad. But, I'd hit my lows that were kind of difficult, but this isn't necessarily something that's supposed to be easy. But I can't say. It has sucked much worse in the past than this previous prep.
Very good. Let's talk about the experience in Japan. So can you kind of walk us through what peak week was like for you? I mean, the flight's like what, 18 hours?
It was about 12 hours.
It was 12. Okay, that's not
Yeah,
that.
and they were nonstop flights too. There was no layovers, so that helped.
That's right. Okay, so talk us through peak week. The show was the show on the 9th only for you?
10th. It was on a Sunday. So I flew out of here at Denver on Wednesday, landed a Thursday afternoon in Japan, and the first few days I didn't really do much. I just went to the grocery store, made my meals, kind of stayed in, and just focused on what I needed to do. So I landed on Thursday. We had check-ins on Friday. I got to meet and greet all the fans. And I got to say, kudos to the Japanese fans. Culture's different over there. They really respect muscle. They really respect big guys, and they respect all the dedication and hard work that goes into it. And they showed that respect to everybody, and it was really nice. A couple things about Japan that I thought were super interesting. I never saw anybody obese. I never saw anybody super fit outside of the people in the show. But at the same time, it's like the food over there is very clean, and you can see in the population. So I was impressed. You know, the Japanese people, they seem fairly healthy. They were all very nice and courteous to the competitors. It's quite the place. Moving on. So Friday was check-ins. Saturday, I just kind of chilled out, ate my meal plan, check-ins every few hours with my coach, sending them pictures. Then Sunday was showtime. And I was feeling pretty good Sunday for the most part. I had a good idea that I'd do very well. We went through prejudging, and I was in the middle the whole time. Then at the very end, they moved me out of the middle. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I know I look good, and I feel good. Now, so are they moving me out to knock me down to third, or are they moving me out so they compare second and third to figure out who's going to win that spot? So I was a little confused when the round ended. I didn't know if I was ahead or I didn't know if I was behind. So I kind of blew my load there in prejudging. There towards the end, I was breathing pretty heavy. I pushed myself hard to get pumped up backstage. I pushed myself really hard on stage to be aggressive and try to beat these guys. And I think I just pushed myself a little bit too much to the point where I was breathing too heavy on stage. So between rounds, I'm lucky I brought my food with me because it was raining that day in Japan, and I didn't want to go out and get my tan all messed up. But I was so beat up after prejudging, I just laid down. Let me back up a step. Right after prejudging, my friend Adam Young, he came. He's like, man, you're missing two of your poses. Come over here. Let's get these poses right. So when you go on the night show, you're nailing these and you win this mother. And that's exactly what we did. We went over the couple poses, the back poses and the front lat spread, the back lat spread. And I applied those changes in the night show, which ended up winning me a perfect score in the night show. But like I said, after prejudging, I was wiped. I just laid down for like over 2 hours. And I ate 4 ounces of chicken and a bowl of cream of rice. That was my second meal of the day. That's all I had until the show was over. So by the time that the night show came around, my belly was inside out. My waist was super small. And there was a moment that I had backstage. It was right as the open class was getting ready to go on and do their individual routines. It's like I'm kind of standing there by myself, and it's like something's coming down on me. I feel like I'm just glowing. I'm like, so it's like I almost feel Dave's soul and his spirit over top of me. And at the same time, it's me being like, hey, 28 years worth of work are about to come to fruition. You either need to step up right now and make this motherfucker happen, or somebody's going to take it from you. So in that moment, it's like, all right, it's time to turn it on. Let's go. And the night show went perfectly. My routine was awesome. The way that I performed for the crowd and the posing rounds, I just nailed everything. And I was worried, like towards the end, I might have to do a victory speech, and I'd be like, huh, huh, huh. I barely even breathed hard. It was everything came together in that moment. It's like everything that I've learned over all this time funneled into this one point in time that was just perfect. And so gratifying to be able to do this for all these years and never really pull a big win and just have all the stars align for this moment so I could take this one.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I think that you did bring a really great look, and it's interesting to hear that you didn't really eat between prejudging and night show other than that one meal too. So would you say because of your physique kind of naturally being a fuller, round muscle belly, would you say that you don't need to do the carb up as much as other guys?
Um, I have been critiqued a lot as a professional by having a thick midsection. So if I want to look bigger, if I want my arms and my shoulders and my legs to look bigger, I need to get my waist to look smaller. So that was part of the equation. I actually think I might have carved up a little bit too much on like Thursday or excuse me, the 2 days leading into the show, which would have been Friday and Saturday, because I felt that food in my guts after prejudging and during prejudging. However, for that night show, it felt like there was nothing in my belly. I didn't even have to work hard to hold it in. So it's a fine balance, and I've had to figure it out over the years because I can come in full as a house and look huge, but my midsection is also huge. I can come in too flat and too depleted, and I don't have that pop and roundness to my muscle. So I kind of had to find that perfect balance and fine tune. So I'm still looking full, and at the same time, I'm shredded with a tight waist. And I got to say, me and Ariel, we did a pretty good job of nailing that.
Definitely. Yeah, no, and I think that like the last few years, the judging is definitely showing us that the smaller waist is preferred, and there's obviously genetic limitations for some people, but that doesn't mean you just have to work with that. And I think that's interesting to hear because I know a lot of guys that do open, they just talk about like, look, like I have extension for sure, but I also eat a ton of food and drink a ton of water. So when I don't have that in my stomach, I don't have the same amount of extension. So it's interesting hearing that because I never really thought of it, but you're right. Like you didn't necessarily need to load your body with food for that night show. And I think it was a strong strategy that worked. I mean, let's be real. Like Phil was, that was a good battle in the prejudging. And I mean, the top 5 guys looked great. And there probably was a little bit of hey, like it's 2 different looks. Like you have certain attributes that he doesn't have and vice versa. What do you think? Was a little bit of a like confusion. I wouldn't say anything about like knocking you, but like the scoring was a little interesting in the world of bodybuilding. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree with that. The scorecard was a little interesting. And I'm not complaining because it worked out for my favor. But Phil and his buddy Matt from Muscle Discord are most definitely complaining. It's a little disrespectful. I know they're not trying to necessarily gear it towards me, trying to gear it towards the judging, but at the same time, I'm the athlete that stepped up and won. You're the one and I'm the one that you're complaining about the placement. So it is disrespectful. I honestly don't see, and I don't want to be disrespectful to the guy who got 3rd place, the guy from Germany, because they placed him ahead of me in prejudging. And looking at the prejudging videos and pictures, that was questionable judging, in my opinion, because me and Phil were pretty close. But I just took it as what it was, and and I just assumed the worst, that I was in 3rd place and I needed to make up some ground. And I said this on a previous podcast earlier last week. Those guys are blaming it on the judging and the judging being questionable. That was only the first round. You can win the first round, but at the end of the day, I'm the guy who brought it home. I stepped up and I took that show. I came in with confidence, poise, aggression, and there was nobody who was going to beat me in that night show. I went in there and I took it. So the last impression on the audience and the judges is me at my best. And that is going to define the show. And that's how it ended up.
For sure. And I think just listening to the way you were explaining how you were competing, the energy you brought, I don't think we always remember that seeing the photos on Instagram is the same as being in the show and feeling the energy, because bodybuilding, people may knock it, they may say it's boring, but when bodybuilding is when it's a good battle out on the stage, if you're there, it's a different energy. It's fun to watch as a fan. So I can imagine just by what you said, with the culture in Japan and what they like as fans, I'm sure they were loving that energy you brought.
Yeah, I brought it. Man, I was up on stage, I was screaming, just, let's go Tokyo, and fucking growling at the crowd, and just, you could see my muscles just popping and flexing, and you're right. There's a nature of that confidence and aggression that makes it very entertaining, and especially if two guys are like going at it. It's like there's something to be said in that's beyond just the physique. The energy that you bring to the stage, the energy that you give to the crowd and the judges, that factors into everything. They say, in bodybuilding, the way it's judged, it's about balance, size, and symmetry. It's about hitting your poses right. But they really don't talk about the intensity that you bring to the stage. But this is something I've known for a long time. I know this is entertaining to the crowd.
Yeah, and I mean, you told us earlier you've put in the time doing the shows to know that.
Yeah.
It's far from a first rodeo for you. So going into kind of closing this out, what's the plan now? I mean, you technically you qualify for the Olympia, right? You can do are you going to are you heading to the O?
Well, here's the thing. It's like I want to celebrate this win, the Masters O win. But if you're looking at my goals for the season, the Masters O win is just part of what I'm trying to accomplish. A lifelong goal of mine is to compete on the Olympia stage in Las Vegas. And for the first time in my life here in October, I'm going to get the opportunity to do that. And I don't know if I'm going to get that opportunity again. I've been working 9 years now to try to get there, and this is the first time I've made it. So how much would I regret the decision not to do this show if I never get a qualification again? The way I look at it, I just won a big show. I'm already in good shape. I got 8 more weeks to get in better shape to be competitive with the best guys on earth. So as much as I wanted to celebrate that win over in Japan, I didn't go all out. I'm focused on my next part of the goal, which is to be competitive in the Olympia. So I enjoyed some sushi and I had some ramen, but I really never strayed too far from the meal plan because I even came home from Japan early because I didn't want the distraction. How can you top going to Japan, winning a world championship, winning an Olympia, doing exactly what you came there to do, celebrating with your friends afterwards, getting to visit and tour the different parts of the city? How can I top that? I left 2 days early so I could come home and set up shop and get ready for the next part of my goal, which is to be competitive in the Olympia. So
that's
yes,
awesome, man.
I'm going.
No, I mean, it makes sense. You're nailed it, man. I mean, who else is going to just get a qualification like that? It's not easy. It's getting harder every year. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, here's the question though. I mean, you started prep, I'm assuming February, March?
It was 16 weeks out from the Masters Olympia.
Okay. So, I mean, from a physical perspective, like how is your body going to handle that? Like that extended 8 weeks?
So if I was dieting the way that I was dieting previous to meeting Coach Ariel, I don't think my body would handle it very well. I think I already would have pushed myself to the point where I'm maxed. But the way that Ariel has my diet structured, it seems super sustainable. I think I can just get back on that meal plan and continue to make progress every day, every week until that Olympia rolls around. And I don't think I'm ever going to max out. This diet that I'm on seems sustainable to the point where I could do this year round. There's times where we're going to push a little bit harder with the cardio and bringing the calories down. But if we don't have to do that, we don't do that. So we're just going to play it day by day and week by week. But I don't think I'm maxed out. I think I have an opportunity to come in better. And realistically, I looked at this lineup. These guys are freaking excellent. I'm going to have to bring it just to not get last place. But I think I can improve from how I looked at the Masters Olympia to the Olympia, come in a little bit more shredded. And I'll be rewarded for that. I think I can pull a top 10 finish if I really nail it. So I think that's a good goal for me.
Very cool. Well, Dorian, thanks so much for this time. I know we all are super excited to see this success for you. As the guy who filmed you first and got to film your bison haul at Adams and the whole shebang, like I love seeing someone manifest a goal and watch it happen. It's something that really is special for me as a video producer. So congrats to you, and we're super excited to watch your journey continue to unfold this year at the Olympia. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe below.